Will the meeting please come to order? Today is Thursday, November the 7th, 2024. This is a special meeting of the Metro Council, as our regular meeting would have fallen on Election Day. This is the 26th meeting of the current term of the Metropolitan Council of Nashville and Davidson County. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation is being offered this evening by the Reverend Dr. George T. Brooks, Sr. Dr. Brooks is the pastor of St. James Missionary Baptist Church on 28th Avenue North. He is the guest of District 21 Council member Brandon Taylor. Go ahead, sir.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you so much for this privilege that we have to once again approach your throne of grace. We thank you for offering us mercy and grace to help in the time of need. We ask your blessings now upon this world in which we live, these United States of America. We thank you so much that you are still on the throne and you are superior to any other leaders there might be. Bless now the mayor of our city, this city council, and I pray that you would move each of us out of selfishness so that all that we say and do would bring glory and honor to your name. Guide us through this meeting on tonight and glorify yourself. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, Reverend Brooks. Council members, there is a lot for our nation and our city to consider after Tuesday's election. But I want first to thank everyone in Nashville who worked to help make a free and fair election happen, especially the Election Commission staff and the poll workers, the poll watchers, and those who volunteered to drive voters to the polls. Thank you to everyone who registered to vote in recent months. Some 8,000 new voters in October alone, after almost 11,000 new registrants in September. There are now 530,000 roughly registered voters in Davidson County. Thank you for encouraging your constituents to use their voice and their vote. Thank you to those who stepped up to run for public office for the first time or to serve again, and to those who worked for and volunteered for those candidates and for the referendum. Knocking doors and listening to neighbors, especially those with whom we disagree, is important. Greeting voters at the polls is a privilege, and I volunteered along with many of you to do so on Tuesday. For 8 hours at Westmead Elementary, I was standing under an oak tree with fellow volunteers for other campaigns, which felt like an especially hopeful place to stand. I had the pleasure of speaking to almost 500 people to thank them for voting, first and foremost, and to offer to answer any questions for them about the transportation referendum. Council members, I want to thank you also for all you have done over the past months to share accurate information with your constituents and answer their questions about the Transportation Improvement Program. 65.5% of the Nashvillians voting on the dedicated funding ballot question voted for. So that is 183,108 votes in favor. That is a resounding victory for a better Nashville. I want to thank Mayor O'Connell and his administration for working intentionally to engage and listen to council members and to revisit the many, many years of feedback from the community before this program was finalized. I say this often, and the mayor knows this, having been a district council member, but you know your district at a granular level, where a slip lane needs removing, where a crosswalk should be added or enhanced, where the desire lines are for people walking to the bus without sidewalks today. This is a program for all of Nashville, and I know we look forward as a council to moving forward and scaling up the delivery of functional, safe, and enjoyable networks. This decision by voters will be a major key to make Nashville a more affordable place to live. Lastly, I know you join me in expressing to Nashvillians who are feeling a big range of emotions after Election Day, but especially to those who may be feeling sad and scared. That your elected officials and local government are always here to support you. In an age of increasing misinformation and disinformation and fear-mongering, it is our responsibility to tell you the truth. As elected officials, we will always be mindful of barriers and challenges Nashvillians face, and we will do our best to help you through them, even when times may feel dark and daunting. As Vice President Harris highlighted in her concession speech yesterday afternoon, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. Everyone in this local, nonpartisan body took an oath to support the Constitution and to faithfully, impartially, and with fidelity discharge the duties of this council without fear or favor and for the public welfare. And we will keep doing that work no matter who is president or congressperson or senator. Vice President Harris also shared, this is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves, a time to organize and mobilize and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we can build together. On November 11th, Veterans Day, the council office will be closed. The Metro Council will be participating in Nashville's Veterans Day Parade on Broadway downtown. So we invite the community to come out to that. We are grateful for the service of Nashville's veterans and that of their families. Council members, I encourage you please to see the email from Rosie on your desks and in your inbox, and be sure to let her know this evening or by tomorrow if you are attending the parade. It is always an inspiring day. Okay. Without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of the meeting of October 15th, 2024? Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Without objection, the minutes of the meeting of October 15th are approved. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Okey dokes. Okay, with that, we will move right into our agenda. First on our agenda are elections. This first election of the evening is for the East Bank Development Authority. This is consideration of nominees for 2 vacancies on the authority, with an election to be held this evening. 1 vacancy on the authority is for a term expiring June 30th, 2026, and 1 vacancy is for a term expiring June 30th, 2027. The person who receives the highest number of votes of the 2 people elected will fill the longer term. Okay? With that, Mr. Clerk, would you please open the machines? Mr. Prepty. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Prepty, do you have a committee report, please, sir, about these nominees for election?
I do, Madam Vice Mayor. With regard to the nominations for Mikkel Houghton, Carrie Gardner, Nathaniel Carter, Scott Tift, and Bob Braswell, the committee voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, now having heard the report of the Chair of Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections, now we will move to the vote. Mr. Clerk, would you please open the machines? Council members, to be elected, each candidate must get 21 votes. Okay? Oh. Are you okay, Mr. Cap? Okay. Oh, okay. Note to general services, we may need to repair the swinging door. Yeah. Okay, with all votes in, Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. All right. Council has elected Scott Tift and Nathaniel Carter. Congratulations. We appreciate everyone willing to serve and members who put forward as well, Ms. Houghton, Mr. Braswell, and Mr. Garner. Thank you to you all, and congratulations again to Mr. Tift and Mr. Carter. Okay, Chair Prep T, we're going to roll right into appointees and nominees, Section F on our agenda. This portion of the agenda shares all persons that were scheduled to appear before the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee this evening. Referrals back to the committee will be by rule as part of the council's two-meeting process for all elections and confirmations. No votes will be taken by the body in this section of the agenda other than for deferrals. Chair Prep T, committee report, please. First, for any withdrawals and or deferrals, sir. Ms. Stiles, if you could, Mr. Prep T is giving his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. With regard to the Tri-Fan Parking Commission appointment of Daniel Ryan Jr., that nomination was withdrawn.
Okay, Mr. Ryan will be withdrawn. So noted. Okay.
Okay. And so the committee considered the nomination and appointments of Joshua Brand, Donna Grayer, Marcus Shute Jr., Jarrell Summers, Joe Umberger, Heather Meschel, Walter Searcy, Frank Stevenson, Naima Fierce, Katie Martin, and voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right, so those were considerations for the Community Correction Advisory Board, the Community Review Board for 2, Hospital Authority Board, Property Standards, and Appeals Board. Okay, so thank you for that report. And so again, by rule, all those folks will be re-referred back for confirmation consideration on November 19th. Okay, Chair Prep T, you are recognized again for your committee report on appointees in the second step of your committee's two-meeting process. First for deferrals, if there are any, please.
There are no deferrals.
Okay. Next for persons who received a vote of recommendation by the committee.
We considered Erica Knowles for the Nashville Music, Film, and Entertainment Commission, as well as Nathan Oliver for the Stormwater Management Commission, and voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. I think often we take these as a consolidated motion, but we just have 2, so I will leave it to you for however you want to move this for a vote.
Move approval of both.
Okay. Properly moved and properly seconded. Council members, you are voting on the approval of Erica Nichols to the Nashville Music, Film, and Entertainment Commission and Mr. Nathan Oliver to the Stormwater Management Commission. Is any member seeking to be recognized to remove an item from the collective vote or to be recorded as abstaining on a particular item? Okay, so without objection, we'll be voting on these two items together. All in favor, is there any discussion? Any other? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Council has confirmed Miss Erica Nichols and Mr. Nathan Oliver. And if they happen to be with us this evening, I would invite you both please to stand. Mr. Oliver, I see you there. And Ms. Nichols, are you with us? Okay, it's not required to be here in step two. So we want to thank Mr. Oliver in person with us here and Ms. Nichols at home. Thank you for your service. Okay, next we are moving right into nominations, section H on our agenda. Members will have received a memo from me regarding 2 vacancies on the Health and Education Facilities Board on the 14th of October. And these 2 vacancies on the board will have terms that expire September 30th of 2030. Okay, so at this time, if you would like to make a nomination, would you please enter the queue so I can recognize you? Okay. Mr. Coupin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to nominate Kenya Payne, please.
Kenya Payne. Okay, Mr. Coupin has nominated Kenya Payne. Ms. Vo, Councilmember Vo, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. I'd like to nominate Dr. Connie Graves.
Okay, Ms. Vo has nominated Dr. Connie Graves.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to nominate Becky Sharp.
Okay, Councilmember Allen has nominated Becky Sharp. Okay, are there any further nominations? Okay, the clerk will be in touch with you all to get the final details and information for your nominees. Thank you for those nominations. Okay. So now we're moving into our public comment period. Members of the public who are Tennessee residents wishing to speak to the council may sign up on the council meeting sign-up sheet that is located at a table outside of the chamber on the day of the scheduled meeting. The public comment sign-up for council meetings begins at 5 p.m. and ends at 6 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting. Public comment is limited to 20 minutes total, and each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. Okay, we have 2 folks who have signed up to speak this evening. First among them is Davy Tucker, speaking on agenda item 30. This is resolution 2024-791. This is a grant acceptance for Zen City Blockwise platform. You are recognized, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Notwithstanding all of the data issues concerning this resolution, its purpose is what's most concerning to me. So I rise not in opposition or support, but just to express some serious concerns. This measure is to measure resident safety perceptions and trust in law enforcement. That purpose statement creates a series of questions. Is that what we want our police department to do? Is our police department capable of assessing that for us? Surveys in and of themselves portend answers. That's why it's a science. You have to take into account variables to try to get a good read. But if this is allowed to be done by the department, will you trust it? Or will it actually become the gold standard for judging public sentiment of police. If trust is an issue, I have not seen anything that beats intense community engagement. And it's to that end that MHRC would offer to partner with MMPD to do a comprehensive, exhaustive, taking into account social economics, geographical locations, ethnicities, and other things, to do a comprehensive assessment of police and what people think. To allow this to go and to accept this, I believe, is to not use what is, even in the academy, what would be most acceptable would be robust community engagement. MHRC would like to help in this regard because trust with the police can be measured in communities, not in general. So please, we would ask for a one-meeting deferral so we can talk more about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Next is Jill Fitchard. Speaking on agenda item 54, this is RS 2024-831, a grant acceptance for DNA capacity enhancement for backlog reduction. Go ahead, Director Fitchard.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I'm here because as I learned more about this DNA backlog, the rape kit testing, I'm here to request a deferral on the resolution to gain more information related to the outsourcing of the DNA kits so that we can receive answers from the police department and so that the public can understand what this means. Also for the NCRB to provide an analysis of this issue. As I learned more about this resolution and its understanding, I have questions. My concerns here is firstly, we have an extensive backlog of cases, and how did this happen? Secondly, what are the systems in place to prevent this from happening in the future? Also, who chooses the vendors? What are the credentials and certifications of the testers and of the laboratories that will provide the analysis? And how many cases are involved in the backlog of the DNA analysis of the cases? And are there any specific dialogue centered around the amount of time it will take for the vendors to complete their testing? And then lastly, what does the chain of custody process look like? As it relates to the shipping, the storage, and the handling of confidential information, notifications to vendors, as well as how are the results of the testing, how they're interpreted, delivered, and uploaded into the FBI's CONUS database. Those are my questions. I hope that you answer those or ask those questions tonight, and I would hope that you get a deferral so that we can do an analysis of the outsourcing vendors. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comment. All right, next we are moving into public hearings. We have in Section J a resolution, a single one on public hearing, and then in Section K, bills, multiple bills on public hearing. Spanish interpretation services are provided for all Metro Council public hearings. This evening, Ms. Sandra Obando de Ruiz is here as the interpreter. Ms. Obando de Ruiz, will you please share how you can help?
Buenas noches, voy a ser el intérprete en español para la sesión de esta noche. Gracias.
Thank you, gracias, we appreciate you. Okay. For those wishing to speak this evening as part of our public hearings, please do state your name clearly, but it is not required to provide your address if you do not wish to do so. You may want to tell us in what neighborhood or area you live or on what street and what your connection to the project is or who your council member is. So first we have the one resolution on public hearing. This is agenda item 1, RS 2024-807, sponsor Parker. This is a resolution exempting turmeric located at 975 Main Street, Suite 102, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit pursuant to Section 7.08.090E of the Metropolitan Code. Mr. Parker, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Okay. Chair Hill, for the report of government operations and regulations, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We heard 2024-807. We approved, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right. It's back to you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this resolution please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this resolution please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, do the folks here in support seek to speak? Okay, they are shaking their head no, Councilman Parker. So with that, I declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval with a brief comment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, go ahead, sir.
This is another new business that's joining District 5 at the Hunter Station spot. So I would invite folks to come check it out whenever you're in the area, and look forward to enjoying this new addition to Hunter Station. So with that, I will renew my motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. It's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this resolution has passed. Okay, next is Section K. So we're moving into bills on public hearing. Agenda item 2 and agenda item 3 are companion bills to each other. The first is ordinance BL 2023-99, sponsor Taylor, in its companion bill regarding the materials of the previous bill, agenda item 3, BL 2023-100. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from R6 to SP for property located on Clarksville Pike, unnumbered, approximately 600 feet northwest of Rosa Parks Boulevard. This is 12.99 acres to permit 590 multifamily residential units. And yeah, all of which is described herein. Okay, Mr. Taylor, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill, or these bills rather, please raise your hand? Okay, thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hands or hand? Yes, sir. Okay. With the person here in opposition, would you like to speak this evening? Okay. Therefore, if you would please come forward and persons in opposition will, speak after those speaking in support. So I'm sorry, sir, I would invite those speaking in support, please, to come forward first. And sir, you can just wait right there. You don't need to go back to your seat, but you may. Go ahead, sir. Oh, hang on. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Hines with Catalyst Design Group, 5100 Tennessee Avenue, Nashville. What I would offer to you is this bill is being reactivated. It has been on indefinite deferral for a little while, but there were 3 public meetings along with other neighborhood discussions back when this bill was originally went through first reading. A lot of good discussion amongst the community and with Metro planning staff as far as the items that are included in the bill. So we would ask to move forward, and I believe Councilmember Taylor has announced that there will be an additional public meeting, community meeting next week. So answering any questions that people may still have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else seeking to speak in support? Okay, with that, with the gentleman in opposition, please come forward. Are you seeking to be recognized in support, ma'am?
She said she would like to speak in opposition.
Do you want to speak in support of these bills? Okay. Go ahead then, sir. You're recognized.
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, My name is Melvin Gill, and I own property at 1821 Ed Temple Boulevard in Council District 21. I am here in opposition to the proposed zoning change as a concern for the health, safety, and welfare of any persons who might live in the proposed residential units because of its close proximity to a natural gas transmission line. This is a 14-inch diameter line and not the normal 3/4-inch line that you might see at a residence. The reason for my concern has to do with the fact that I do not believe, and I could be wrong, that the planning department's review did not consider the U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline Hazardous Material Safety Administration's regulations concerning the designations of higher populated areas along a natural gas transmission line as high consequence areas in accordance with 49 CFR 192. Is an area identified along a pipeline right-of-way at greater risk of an impact due to fire and explosion from gas transmission pipeline leaks. These HCAs are placed in 4 classifications based on the number of onshore dwelling units within 660 feet per mile section of pipeline. Those class designations are Class 1, 10 or fewer building units per section. Class designation 2, more than 10 but less than 46 units intended for human dwelling.
Sir, your time has expired.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing your insight. Ma'am, did you wish to speak in opposition? Okay, come on forward, please. Ma'am.
So I just wanted to clarify that 12 acres is going towards apartments? Is that for development of apartments?
Public hearings are not for you to ask questions, but
Okay,
yes,
well,
you can speak with Mr. Taylor. I'm sure he would be happy to clarify that for you after he proceeds with this, okay? So a public hearing is if you have prepared to speak on a particular item for or against, not to approach the podium to make inquiries.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's to my knowledge that it is apartments, and I just want to say I've been in Nashville for a really, really long time, and I don't understand. I am a realtor, and I do not understand how so many apartments are getting approved in and around the Nashville area, because it only benefits the few. It creates a lot of these rents are not substantial for sustaining a lot of our police, fire, teachers, even the artists that are around, environmentalists, people that do not have the salaries. It takes more than 50%. A lot of the rates that they're charging take more than 50% of their income. And yet there's all these REITs going around and building all these apartments. And if you look at Nashville's charter, when Nashville was founded, Nashville was founded on the right to home ownership. They wanted this land to be by owners and not by given. And there's no affordable housing, and these builders, they need to make those condos, I'm sorry, and make them affordable housing for the service personnel. And they need to create more green space in that area and make no investors to buy them. Okay, that's what I want to say.
Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Mr. Taylor, it is back to you, sir, for a motion on your bills.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move for approval.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, let's move both of these together if we could.
Absolutely. So both BL 2023-99 and BL 2023-100 for approval.
Great, thank you. Is there a second? Properly moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on these two bills, these companion bills? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you. I had a brief comment.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to just kind of cover just some timelines here. This conversation started early in the winter of 2022 with a developer. We had our first community meeting in September 15th of 2022. A newsletter was sent out, dedicated email for this, also a mass text. We had a second meeting, May 1st of 2023, as we deliberated some of the feedback that we received from the constituents in that meeting. Also a newsletter, a dedicated email, and a mass text went out. July 23rd and March 27th, 2023, we also had an additional community meeting where an email went out, and then July 23rd, went to Planning Commission in 2023, and then brought to council on first reading November 7th of 2023. So there was a robust conversation with this development. Since then, I haven't heard any pushback or feedback from anyone until now. This was on second reading once before. Didn't know that I was going to be deferring it indefinitely into the evening of that meeting. And up to that point, hadn't had any pushback. You know, when I think about the project, I think when if you've been in this room with me, you know, I may be a little pushback on density, specifically in neighborhoods. But I think when we look at density along a corridor, this property neighbors a river. It neighbors another apartment complex. It neighbors Clarksville Highway. And when I look at that, that's the great place for us in Nashville to at least add some density. It's not deep into the neighborhood that's closest to this as a contextual overlay that I added last term to help with protection of that community that I worked hard with those constituents to do. And so I'm looking to continue to move forward. Constituents have reached out, and I have secured a meeting at St. Luke CME Church next Tuesday night at 6 p.m. To discuss this more for anyone that has any additional questions. And hopefully we can, if you will run with me on this for approval. If there's any amendments that need to happen on third reading, this is amendable by third reading. And so I renew my motion for approval.
Mr. Taylor, thank you for that explanation, which will inform the community as it relates to your third reading, which, as you said, it's amendable at that time. I know the community appreciates, and your colleagues, that context, but we have already voted and passed both these bills on their second of three readings. Okay. And I apologize if I didn't hear you earlier asking with a brief comment. That was possibly my error there. I'm sorry. Okay, next on our agenda is agenda items 4 and 5. They are companions to each other, sponsor Toombs. The first is ordinance BL 2024-486. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS 7.5 to SP zoning for property located at 520 Ewing Drive, approximately 375 feet west of Gwenwood Drive, 3.58 acres, to permit 56 multifamily residential units. And the companion bill is ordinance BL 2024-487, which is requiring certain materials to be restricted on the same project in the other bill. Okay, Ms. Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Request to open a public hearing.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open on both these bills. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Okay, thank you, sir. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? Okay. Ma'am, are you here in specific opposition to this bill, or do you want to speak as before in a general way? Because I would suggest if it's the latter, you have already shared with us. Do you want to speak specifically about the project at 520 Ewing Drive? I'm hearing you shake. You are very welcome if you want to speak specific to the project at 520 Ewing Drive. Okay, ma'am, this is not the time. Okay, this is not the time for that. Okay, so the gentleman here in support of the bills does not appear that our guest here wants to speak specifically on 520 Ewing Drive. So would you like to speak in support? Okay, go ahead and come forward, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Great to see you. I'm here in support of this project. It's an SP that has been created in partnership with the community and with Councilor Toombs. We're offering 29 single-family detached homes that will be built for sale, so we're super excited about that. The property is T3 neighborhood evolving, so that speaks to the added density that we're bringing there on the parcel. We've had 4 or 5 public community meetings, which were a great evolution of thought that led to a lot of collaboration and what we hope and feel is something that, took that feedback into account. We're hoping that this project now presents a compromise that everyone will be happy and satisfied with. It's roughly half the density that was actually approved by planning. So we've been, really working to provide a number of units and a unit type that will be seen as a positive addition to the corridor. In addition to that, our project includes pedestrian improvements, off-site pedestrian improvements that we're going to be installing, including ADA ramps, pedestrian crossings, and some sidewalk extensions as well, which we're super excited about. And to echo the earlier point, calling for increased pedestrian networks, we're hoping to positively contribute to that along Ewing Drive with this project. And we're just excited to deliver these homes to the area, and thank you in advance for your support. Have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. And so, Ms. Toombs, it's back to you. I do see you have a substitute, and so though we did the public hearing combined, we're going to have to take these separately because we have to do separate votes to get the substitutes on there. So back to you.
So I would like to move the substitute on.
Well, let's first move 2024-486 just to get it before us.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. It's before us now. Onto your sub.
I'd like to move the substitute with a brief comment.
Okay, is there a second on the substitute? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Toombs.
So the person that spoke in support went over a few of the points. So this is capping the development at 29, should say, oh crap, I have to amend that. Should say single family, 29 single family homes, capped at 2 stories, as well as sidewalk extension from Ewing Drive to Vista Lane, as well as those pedestrian and crossing improvements at the intersection of Ewing Drive and Vista Lane, as well as Ewing Drive and Gwenwood Drive. And there have been multiple community meetings to get to this point. I believe by right, the property owner could build about 20 single-family homes. So this is slightly more density with some significant infrastructure improvements. And with that, I'd move for approval.
Okay, you've heard an explanation of the substitute by Ms. Toombs. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the substitute? Okay, all in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, so it's back to you for a motion to approve as substituted.
Move for approval as substituted.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor, or rather, is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, Ms. Toombs, as well, I do apologize. You've got your second companion bill regarding the construction materials. It has a separate substitute. And so let's get the bill before us first, 2024-487.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded.
I'd like to move the substitute.
Okay, is there a second for the sub? Okay. Would you like to describe the sub or basically the same thing to enable?
The units, yes.
Yep. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, and then lastly, a motion to approve is substituted.
Move for approval is substituted.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, both these bills have passed their second of 3 readings as substituted. Okay, next we go on to agenda item 6. This is ordinance BL 2024-559, sponsors Parker and Taylor. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by applying a detached accessory dwelling unit, DADU, overlay district to various properties located south of Douglas Avenue, north of West Eastland Avenue, and west of Gallatin Avenue, zoned RS5, R6, and R6A. This is 123.1 acres. Mr. Parker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none here on either side, Mr. Parker, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second of 3 readings. Next are agenda items 7 and 8, which are companions to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-560 and Ordinance BL 2024-561. Sponsor Huffman. The first is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from R10 to RM9 to SP zoning for properties located at 605 Stewartsbury Pike and Stewartsbury Pike unnumbered, at the northwest corner of Stewartsbury Pike and Lauer Drive. This is 22.31 acres to permit a mixed-use development. And again, it's Companion Bill 561, required because the ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of the buildings. Mr. Huffman, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hands? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none, does the woman here in support seek to be recognized? Okay, Mr. Huffman, she is shaking her head no. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed on both these bills, and it's back to you for a consolidated motion, sir.
Yes, I'd like to move for approval with a brief comment.
Okay, so you're moving approval of both 560 and 561. Go ahead, sir. Is there a second? Okay.
Thank you very much. Not going to take up much time on this, but it's always nice to celebrate wins. And this project is definitely a win for my district. Not only does it create 280 units in a very needed area, but it also has greenway access. We're adding sidewalks. We're adding a hotel and commercial space as well on this 22-acre plot. This is right by Interstate 40. The renderings for this, if you've not looked at them, I highly encourage you to go to Legistar. It's going to be a really beautiful project. So just ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, it's been properly moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, both these bills have passed their second of 3 readings. Okay, next is agenda item 9, ordinance BL 2024-562, sponsor Welsh. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 2301 Foster Avenue at the southwest corner of Oriel Avenue and Foster Avenue. This is 0.19 acres. Councilmember Welsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none there. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, Councilmember Welsh, I'm seeing no folks on either side. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Passed second reading. Next is Agenda Item 10, Ordinance BL 2024-563, sponsor Hancock. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from OR 20 to MULA zoning for properties located at 117 Neely's Bend Road, 400 feet east of Gallatin Pike. This is 0.38 acres. Ms. Hancock, you are recognized.
I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, did the gentleman here in support seek to speak? Okay, go ahead, sir. You can come on forward. Oh, pardon me, sir.
Not at all.
Go ahead.
Hello again, Vice Mayor. Thank you. Councilors, thank you. This project's been in collaboration and partnership with Councilor Hancock, which has been a joy. We're seeking to rezone the property to allow expanded mixed use and creative outcomes for the property. It's in a highly dense pocket already, only one parcel off of Gallatin Pike, and the parcel that's actually on Gallatin Pike that it's adjacent to is zoned CS with a Walgreens on it, and all the other properties are OR20. So we're kind of seeking a transitionally higher density than OR20 and lower than CS still there. It's also very close to a WeGo stop, and the parcel is also characterized as T4 urban, supporting high density and mixed use outcomes. So just wanted to share that, and thank you all in advance for your support.
Okay, thank you very much. I declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you, Ms. Hancock, for a motion on your bill.
I'd like to move for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is past second reading. Agenda Item 11, Ordinance BL 2024-564, sponsor Kimbrough, is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS10 to R10 zoning for property located at 1808 Manchester Avenue, approximately 335 feet east of Hydes Ferry Road. This is 0.68 acres. Councilmember Kimbrough, you are recognized, ma'am.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, Mr. Harrell, let me see behind you, sir. I'm kind of, anyone here in opposition? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, does the gentlewoman here in support want to speak or wish to speak? Nope. Okay, she is shaking her head no, Ms. Kimbrough. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
I'd like to move for approval.
Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second reading, Ms. Kimbrough. Okay, next are agenda items 12 and 13. They are companion bills to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-565 and Ordinance BL 2024-566, sponsors Parker. The first is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from IWD to SP zoning for property located at 800 Dickerson Pike, approximately 325 feet north of Grace Street. This is 1.85 acres to permit a hospital use. And 566 is an ordinance required because of certain materials being restricted on the buildings in the first bill. Okay, Mr. Parker, it is to you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open a public hearing on the two bills associated with this project.
Okay, thank you so much. I will declare the public hearing open on 565 and 566. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Okay, thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, do the gentlemen here in support seek to be recognized? I'm seeing them saying no, and so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you, Councilman Parker.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval.
Okay, Councilman Parker has moved approval of both 565 and 566. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, both these bills have passed their second of 3 readings. Next is agenda item 14 and agenda item 15. Again, they are companions to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-567 and Ordinance BL 2024-568. Sponsor Huffman. The first among them is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from CS to SP zoning for property located at 3525 Central Pike, approximately 325 feet west of Stoner's Bend Drive. This is 2.12 acres to permit a self-storage facility, and its companion bill associated with the same property because the ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of the buildings. Okay, Mr. Huffman, you are recognized, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open on 567 and 568. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Okay, thank you, sir. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, does the gentleman in support seek to be recognized? He is shaking his head no, Mr. Huffman. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing for both these bills closed, and it's back to you for a consolidated motion.
Move for approval.
Okay. Mr. Huffman has moved 565 and, 567 and 568. It's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, 567 and 568 have passed the second of 3 readings. Next is agenda item 16, ordinance BL 2024-569, sponsor Welsh. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 305 Joyner Avenue, approximately 450 feet east of Nolensville Pike. This is 0.17 acres. Councilmember Welsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay. I declare the public hearing for 569 open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay, I'm seeing none. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Also seeing no one in opposition. So with nobody here in support or in opposition, Ms. Welsh, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on 569? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, 569 has passed second reading. Next is agenda item 17. This is ordinance BL 2024-570, sponsor Hancock. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from CN to R15 zoning for properties located at 1532, 1536, 1538 Neely's Bend Road and Neely's Bend Road unnumbered, approximately 90 feet north of Neely's Bend Court. This is 1.52 acres. Ms. Hancock, you are recognized.
I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, Councilmember Hancock, I am seeing nobody in support or opposition. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill to get it before us.
I'd like to move for approval, please.
Is there a second? Okay. Back to you.
So this bill is intended to take a pocket of unknown CN that was at the end of a dead-end road and change it to residential zoning. This area is in T2 rural maintenance, so most everything is RS80, but these are small properties, so R15 seemed to be the best size fit.
Okay, and are you seeking to move your substitute?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Okay, that is fine. This is substitutable and amendable on third. Okay, so there is a motion to approve. It's properly seconded. You've heard an explanation from Ms. Hancock. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Okay, any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this has passed at second of 3 readings.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda for public hearing is agenda item 18, ordinance BL 2024-571, sponsor Kimbrough. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from SP to R10 zoning for properties located at River Drive, unnumbered, approximately 165 feet northeast of River Court. This is 0.61 acres. Councilmember Kimbrough, you are recognized, ma'am.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Thank you, ma'am. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, just person in support seek to be recognized. She is shaking her head no, Ms. Kimbrough. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed. It's back to you for a motion on your bill.
I'd like to move for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on 571? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second of 3 readings. Next are agenda items 19 and 20. These are companion bills to each other. Sponsor Coupon, ordinance BL 2024-572 and 573. This is 572 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by amending a specific plan for properties located at 2nd Avenue North, unnumbered, 1st Avenue North, unnumbered, 1500 2nd Avenue North, 1508 2nd Avenue North, 100 Van Buren Street, and 2 areas of railroad right-of-way at the northwest corner of 1st Avenue North and Van Buren Street, zoned SP 2.99 acres to permit 395 multifamily residential units, all of which is described herein. Councilman Coupon, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Open the public hearing, please.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open for 572 and 573. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Okay, thank you, sir. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, does the gentleman in support seek to be recognized? He is shaking his head no, Mr. Coupon. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed. It's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Okay, I hope I do this right. I'd like to move to approve tonight on second reading, but then defer to the first meeting in December.
Okay, so your motion then, just to clarify, is to pass this evening on second reading, but defer the third reading to the first meeting of December.
Correct, thank you.
Okay, is there a second for that motion? Okay, is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, both these bills, 572 and 573, have passed second reading, and their third reading will be at the first meeting of December. Okay, next are agenda items 21 and 22. Again, surprise, they are companion bills to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-574 and 575, sponsor Rutherford. 574 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from AR2A to SP zoning for properties located at 7102 Burkett Road and 7216 Old Burkett Road at the northeast corner of Old Burkett Road and Burkett Road. This is 14.90 acres to permit 288 multifamily residential units. And then Bill 575 is its companion ordinance, which requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of the buildings. Councilman Rutherford, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open for 574 and 575. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? Okay. When we have folks here in opposition, those in support come up and speak first, and those in opposition will speak second. Go ahead and come forward. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'm Roy Dale. I'm representing this project before you today. This process actually started 2 years ago. There was a lot of community outreach at that time, but 2 years ago was prior to a council election. So we decided that we would wait. That was the request of the council member and people of the community. So we waited until a year to refile this, actually to begin this process again. So we started again in January of this year. We had a community meeting that we'd set up through the council staff office because we don't usually submit anything to planning until we have community input. That's just sort of the process we go through with our company. It's one of the reasons you rarely see me speak here, because we usually do a lot of community outreach. So we went to the community, then we submitted a plan to the Planning Commission. This property is located at a major intersection. It's close to commercial. It's walkable to commercial. It's in a policy that supports density. So we requested for the zoning for the 288 units. Planning had a special policy on this property, so it took a lot of time. We did special building orientation to ensure that there was very little grading, nice facades, open space, green space, right-of-way dedications, roadway improvements, and even pedestrian and bicycle parkways or walkways that you could get close to the nearby community centers. So before it went to Planning Commission, actually when it went to Planning Commission, there were about 400 letters that went out. Signs are placed on the corners of the property. In this case, there were 3 signs placed. I noticed you have a photograph that doesn't show signs because the signs on both sides of this house and on the corners. So 400 letters went out for the Planning Commission meeting, as well as signage. It went to the Planning Commission. Not a single person showed up in opposition. It was approved by a vote of 7-0, unanimously by the Planning Commission. And Planning Commission again sends us the notices for the council. Those letters and signs are posted again. We've done that again. So I understand that I guess it's the Cane Ridge Community Center, which is probably a pretty good piece from the property, had some things to say. And I'll let maybe, since my time's up, maybe Dan can continue on. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and come forward, sir.
Good evening. I'm Dan McVicker with Ramsden Capital. Many of you know me. I just want to second what Roy has outlined. It's been a pretty long path getting here. We've worked hard. We think this community is going to be additive to the neighborhood. We always observe principles of good planning. We've had a very good relationship with staff on this. We received staff approval. We had a public hearing with Planning Council. I've done this before, and it's always worked out well. What we build and develop will be beautiful, and it'll be something that the community members are as proud of as we are. We're going to have a tremendous investment in this area, and there's nobody that wants this area to be more beautiful than we do. We're always available to meet with folks. We've made numerous offers. We've had community meetings, and we play by the rules. So everybody who knows me knows that I appreciate what everybody up here does. This is a very difficult job, but we're proud of what we do, and we're professional about it as well. So this is very meaningful for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else seeking to speak in support? Okay, with that, we'll transition to opposition. Go ahead, ma'am. You're recognized. If you would pull that mic down a little bit closer, please, to you.
Wanted to time myself.
Okay. Well, you'll have
Hi.
a timer here.
My name is Nanette Coffey. Hello, council members. I've only had a few days to reach people because there was not proper signage from day one on this development. We have received, myself and council members, over 40 emails in the past few days opposing this, that no one is for this development. There's never been any signage about this development until in the past week and a half. It is a state law that a sign is in place to let people know that there is a meeting. It was of the only signage in the past week and a half that today we find that the sign that was removed from the development of 7114 Burkett Road. I have pictures of the sign that is on the ground in front of Mrs. Clifton's house. I sent it to Tawana Chick this afternoon. She emailed all the council members around 5 o'clock today to show them that the sign, the one sign on Burkett Road, was removed today around by 11 o'clock before I went to church. This meeting needs to be deferred, or it needs to be started over, because the people have not known anything about this development. There's been no signage. Apartments are oversaturated. 1 minute away east from this development at 6944 Burkett, there are 248 apartments. These apartments are 25% unoccupied. With a new lease signed, they are giving 2 months free rent. The same developer has 3 apartments buildings just a few miles north. The Anderson, which is 100% unoccupied because they're not done. Just a ways up north in Lenox Village, they have another apartment complex where 25% is unoccupied with 2 months free of rent. And then he's going to build at Holt Road and Nolensville Road another 72 units. We do not need more apartments in this community. I'm asking for this matter to be deferred, and please let the people speak and be respectful to the people that live in the community.
Ma'am, are you seeking to speak in opposition? Go ahead and come on over, please. You're recognized. Go ahead.
Thank you. I live in the area as well, and we simply, honestly, do not have the infrastructure for these apartments or the other ones that have been approved. And they're actually, this is more of a bedroom community, and shame on me for not getting involved sooner because it just keeps happening all around. But they're clear cut everything. So all the beauty of Nolensville and everything where we live is going away because it takes years for all those trees to come back. But the density is outrageous. They're building the buildings literally 10 feet apart from each other. Like all the apartments that are there now are literally, people are like squeezing in. There's nowhere for people to even walk a dog. But the traffic is horrendous. You've got Burkett Road, Nolensville Road, and Concord Road. It takes an hour to get in the morning, just even from where I am at Burkett Road, all the way up to Old Hickory, over an hour in the morning. Concord Road is already backed up for people trying to go to 65, all the way almost down to Edmondson Pike. You're almost waiting an hour and a half just to get there. Burkett Road, just coming down to that little area from Burkett Road to Nolensville Road, already backed up, and with more and more apartments going up to I-24, and we just simply cannot handle this density for this area. Not to mention that it brings transient people. This is a home ownership area. We already do need affordable housing for our teachers, for our police, for our firefighters, for those people. They can't even afford to live there. And those apartments only benefit a few people. They don't benefit everybody. When home ownership benefits longevity, it benefits everybody in long term. It employs wealth. Apartments do nothing except create socialism and communism, because once all of Nashville is going to be rented out, everybody will be controlled. All the rent's going to be controlled, and it'll be gone, and only the few will benefit.
Your time has expired.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone else seeking to speak in opposition? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you, Mr. Rutherford, for a motion on these bills.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval with comment.
Okay, Mr. Rutherford has moved approval of 574 and 575.
Both bills, that's correct.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's back to you for a comment, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'll try to address some of the concerns that were raised. But we've been meeting with this developer for 2 or 3 years now on this and other developments that they have built in our area. They are local and have built in other parts of town, so I know many of the other members here may be familiar with them. But the property behind this one was recently approved for a townhome community. That developer agreed to certain standards as were requested by the community, and the developer of the Old Burkett property, that's this developer, has agreed to those same standards. They have They have also both agreed to connect the two properties to make them more walkable, especially to the nearby businesses on Nolensville Road, which is just yards away from the property. After many changes, this received a positive recommendation from planning. This meets the land use policy and will improve Old Burkett end to end. There is support from surrounding property owners, including the church on the hill above the property. Nolensville Road is currently in the midst of a widening project and by the state. And of course, that is currently causing all of us some major traffic concerns in and around that area. But this project is a year or more from breaking ground, and it's also 3 or more years before it would be completed. The Cane Ridge Community Club, which sits in District 33, working with its members and area residents, submitted a list of items to me that they would like to see added to this legislation by amendment. I'm currently working with the council office actually to do just that. Included in that list are some very positive things and things that will improve this overall, and things that relate to security in particular, security cameras, additional upgrades to Old Burkett to include a crosswalk, which again adds to the walkability of the area, increased buffers and elimination of invasives and replanting of natives. Also, per recommendation from a community member and recognizing the challenges of home ownership, the existing homes on the property, which are slated to be destroyed for the development, will be available for donation to any entity who wants to move them to reestablish them on another property. I'm currently reaching out to area churches and veterans groups on this very topic. This list of items, again, will be submitted to the council office for consideration of amendment on third reading that we will take up and when this comes back to us for a final time. But in between now and then, we'll continue that engagement and possibly add to that list as we go along. But lastly, I keep hearing, and I know I'm running out of time, but I have a question I would like to ask of the planning table related to the signage and the notices that went out. I know planning has informed me that that it was done properly, but I would like the planning table to address that. And then also for the understanding of the folks who may be listening and the folks in the audience, just a brief few seconds on what that process itself looks like, if we could, so that there would be better understanding. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Milligan, can you provide that clarification, please, for the planning department?
Certainly. So public notice is required in several ways for council public hearings of zone changes. That includes notification in a newspaper of general circulation, notification by mail, and notification by signs. And so the reason that multiple ways or things are noticed in multiple ways is to reach the broadest audience possible. For notification by newspaper, the clerk posts all of those together. For notification by mailed notice, those are mailed to all property owners within 1,000 feet of the property that is requested for rezoning. The planning department creates the list of addresses, creates a template for the notice, and creates templates for the envelopes, and all of that is provided to the applicant to prepare and to place postage on those. Those are then returned to the planning department, and we actually physically place those into the mailbox so that we can ensure that they are mailed timely. They also provide us, the applicant also provides us with a certification indicating that all of those have been completed. But they are physically brought to our office for mailing. In regards to the signs, a certain number of signs are required to be posted based on the size of the property. The planning department provides a template of the sign, including even font size, to the applicants for them to prepare and post, and then they provide to us a certification that those signs have been posted on the property. In this case, all of those different notification procedures were followed.
Thank you, Ms. Milligan. I appreciate that just for general community education. So I will allow the time for that, of course. We're on to discussion on the bill. And so next in the queue is Ms. Stiles. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Monday evening was the monthly Cane Ridge Community Club meeting, and I think we've all received the emails and the concerns. Many of those individuals were at the meeting on Monday expressing concern that they had not had adequate community meetings. I would ask that we defer this to the first meeting in December to allow for some more community conversation, because if the community conversation was taking place, we wouldn't have opposition and we wouldn't have so many emails saying they haven't been communicated with. I don't think this is a bad project, but I do think if the community is saying that they haven't had enough time to speak, and that was said many times on Monday night, that perhaps a deferral until the first meeting in December would be good.
Okay. Ms. Lee, you are recognized.
Thank you very much. I am standing. I had also as well asked that this be deferred. A lot of the messages that we got, and I know a lot of the calls that I got, were from my constituents in 33, which is actually like right across the road from when this is going up. The major concern that I had, that I heard, was there were no meetings. Now, I have talked to some of the people planning this whole thing, and I understand that some years ago, there were some meetings. And so I'm thinking what happened was there haven't been any lately, and some of the residents in my area maybe new there or within the last year or two or so did not have a chance to talk and share about this whole thing. So I am going to be a no vote on this, and I am not talking to the, I am talking to the apartments or the renting part of it, but I'm not talking about how they are built or any of that. What my major concern is that my residents that are like within stone throwing, if you have a good arm distance of it, didn't have a chance to talk and share their concerns.
You should have made a point of order.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Mr. Parker, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to address one of the concerns that was raised. The private extraction of rents in, say, an apartment building for a scarce resource like housing that is necessary for humans to live is by definition not socialistic. That is capitalism, very, very simply and straightforwardly. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Mr. Rutherford, you are recognized again, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. For clarification, was there a motion to defer?
No, sir, there was not.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Stiles, I'm going to go back to you.
So I can rectify that, Vice Mayor? Yes, I'd like to make a motion to defer this bill until the first meeting in December.
Is there a second for this motion? Okay, the motion has been seconded, so we are on discussion for deferral to the first meeting in December. Was your motion, Ms. Stiles? Your motion was till the first meeting in December?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are on discussion of that motion. Mr. Rutherford, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move that motion to the table.
Okay. So, Mr. Rutherford has made a tabling motion. Thus, the debate will be between the primary sponsor and the motion maker only at this time. Ms. Darby, can you remind me who goes first in the order of the debate, please, ma'am? Okay. So the maker of the motion will speak first, and then the primary sponsor will speak second. Ms. Stiles, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I don't have much more to say than what I have already stated. We have received numerous emails concerning not having community meetings about this project. Tonight, we've had several public hearings where there was no one in opposition. Community meetings were had, people were able to express their opinions. Again, on Monday, I listened to several people voice concerns because they saw the signs just this week, but it hadn't been presented. Some people knew about the project, but the majority of the community had not been informed. And I think if we're here to make sure that we're making good decisions for our districts, we're doing that by listening to constituents. So not asking for this project to end, but rather to extend the time so that constituents can have a community meeting in person, ask their questions. They may very well be in support of all of the amendments that have been proposed, but at least to have the opportunity to speak with Councilman Rutherford and the developer, that is our primary objective. So just asking for this to be deferred into the first meeting in December, that gives Councilmember Rutherford enough time to have one meeting at least where these individuals can come, ask questions, and get their concerns off of their chest. So again, I would move that we defer this until the first meeting in December.
Mr. Rutherford, you are now recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll remind this body of one thing that you've heard already, and that is 3 years that this has been ongoing. This dates back to pandemic. This has been ongoing. There's been ample community engagement on this. There is still between now and third reading that there will continue to be community engagement on this. I'm preparing an amendment, as I mentioned before, with items that have come from that community engagement. This is ready to go. There are people in favor who live in proximity of this property. Again, the church up on the hill is welcoming of this property. It's essentially in front of them, really. This is good to go. 3 years. 3 years. We don't need a deferral. Thank you.
All right. Do you have a point of order, Mr. Cash? If you do, please stand. Yep, for a point of order. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to be clear on what the deferral is. Is public hearing over and it's second reading that's being deferred, or are both moving forward, or both being deferred?
We are on a tabling motion.
Oh, I understand that.
Right, and so
All right, I'll wait to ask my question then.
okay. And so it's a tabling motion for the deferral. If you're seeking clarification for the deferral motion, that's a proper question. The deferral
I'm seeking clarification on the deferral, yes.
was of the second reading to be deferred to the first meeting in December.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So that concludes the debate on the motion to table. And so we will move to the vote. I think it will probably be best to do this by machine. So if you are in favor of the tabling motion, that means we will not move to debate or take up the deferral motion. Okay, the deferral motion will be laid upon the table and not considered. Okay, if you vote against the tabling motion, then the debate on the deferral will continue. Okay, all right, Mr. Clerk, if you, yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Rutherford.
Point of order, ma'am, if you mind.
Yes, sir.
If the tabling motion prevails, then does debate continue on the legislation itself?
I appreciate the clarification. Yes, sir, on the bill itself, but we will have disposed of the deferral motion.
So I'm wanting members to understand they can still ask questions of this if the tabling motion prevails.
Appreciate that is indeed correct. I will allow that as a clarification and a point of order. Okay. Mr. Clerk, we are moving now to the vote, sir. Okay, all votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the motion to table the deferral motion prevails. And so we have disposed of the deferral motion. And so we are back on the bill. The prior motion was a motion to approve that was properly seconded. Is there any further discussion or on the motion to approve? Mr. Nash, I see you in the queue. Do you seek to be recognized?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm a little confused by some of my Nolensville Road neighbors. This is a public hearing, and this was their opportunity to come and let us know about their concerns. And secondly, Councilman Rutherford's a Boy Scout. Truly, he's going to have more meetings to discuss this issue. He's listening, and if he doesn't, as he ends up not happy with the outcome of the discussion and finalize it, he'll defer the project another reading. So I think it's time to move forward and respect Councilman Rutherford's request.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. Is there any further discussion before we move to the vote? Okay, there is a motion to approve, properly seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no? Okay, we're going to need to record that. So we got to vote on the machine, please. Mr. Clerk, if you would please open the vote, given that we have multiple no's. Is that correct, Margaret? Oh, wait. Okay. Are there any abstentions? Okay, so I called the vote for the yeses. I heard it. I heard the no's. I heard multiple no's, but the no's did not prevail. Are there any abstentions? No abstentions. Okay, this bill has passed second of 3 readings. And that is 574 and 575. Okay? All right. Now we are moving on to agenda item 23 and 24. Sponsor Toombs, ordinance BL 2024-576 and its companion bill 577. 576 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS 7.5 to SP zoning for properties located at 874 and 865 West Trinity Lane, approximately 102 feet west of Horizon Drive. This is 9.86 acres to permit 250 multifamily residential units, and its companion bill that proposes to require certain materials to be restricted in the construction of the buildings. Ms. Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Request to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open for 576 and 577. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hands? Okay, Thank you all. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, do those folks here in support seek to be recognized or to speak? Sir, you would like to speak in support? Okay, you can come on forward, please. You're recognized. Go ahead. Feel free to pull that mic up closer to your, oh, I'm sorry. And it's not on at all, so
It's
that
not
I'm
on
gonna, go ahead.
Madam Vice Mayor, council members, Councilmember Toombs, my name is Austin Holmes. I'm with Dominium Development, the developer behind this proposed community. I'll be quick, but I just wanted to thank y'all for your support thus far on this item to get to this point. We are a developer of affordable housing, and so I know that has been discussed some tonight, and we are really excited for the opportunity to bring this much-needed housing to this community. We've enjoyed the process of working with the planning department, Councilmember Toombs, and the surrounding community and getting to know them, and so we're really excited to continue moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else seeking to be recognized in support? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. You're recognized.
Hi there. My name is Andy Berry, and I'm at Smith G Studio. I'm speaking in support super quickly. Thank you for your support and help with this so far, especially Councilmember Toombs. This is over the last 8 to 10 months or so, we've been working a lot with the Trinity Lane area stakeholders, and we're excited to bring some more affordable housing to the city and to this area and address that concern and that need in a meaningful way. That's it. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no one else here to speak, I declare the public hearing closed, and it is back to you, Ms. Toombs, for a consolidated motion on these bills.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Move for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Properly moved and seconded. This is for the approval of 576 and 577. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. All right. 576 and 577 have passed their second of 3 readings. Next is agenda item 25, ordinance BL 2024-578, sponsor Horton. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from CS to MULANS zoning for property located at 5502 New York Avenue at the northwest corner of Centennial Boulevard and New York Avenue. This is 0.41 acres. Mr. Horton, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, do either of the gentlemen in support seek to be recognized? They are both shaking their head no, Mr. Horton. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you. I'd like to move for approval, please.
Okay, is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second reading. Agenda item 26, ordinance BL 2024-579, sponsor Parker. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS10 to R10 zoning for property located at 224 Whitney Park Drive, approximately 215 feet north of Hart Lane. This is 0.13 acres. Sponsor Parker. Mr. Parker, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Thank you, ma'am. I see you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing no one here in opposition, does the woman here in support seek to be recognized? Okay, all right. With that, then I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval.
Is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no, any abstaining? Okay. All right, this has passed its second of 3 readings. Next are agenda items 27 and 28. These are our last items on public hearing. They are companions to each other or, pardon? Oh, I am so sorry. These do not go together. Okay. This is the second to last bill on public hearing. They are not companions to each other. Agenda item 27 is ordinance BL 2024-580, sponsor Benedict. Who's looking at me a little, what? Okay. An ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from RS15 to R15 zoning for properties located at 727 Hart Lane, 731, 735, 737, 741 Saunders Court, 3816, 3820, 3822, 3824, 3828, 3836, 3838, and 3840 Saunders Avenue at the northwest corner of Saunders Court and Saunders Avenue. This is 10.2 acres. Ms. Benedict, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Please don't hold it against me that this is the second to the last one. There is one more, colleagues. Not my fault. Could I open the public hearing, please, Vice Mayor?
Yes, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none on either side, Ms. Benedict, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you. Move approval.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay, this has passed its second of 3 readings. Now, the last item on our public hearing is agenda item 28, ordinance BL 2024-593, sponsor Stiles. This is an ordinance to amend ordinance number BL 2024-490 by adding a building material restriction and to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for the project approved by BL 2024-490, a specific plan zoning district located at 12,610 Old Hickory Boulevard and Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered. This is approximately 655 feet east of Hobson Pike, 9.38 acres. The proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Ms. Stiles, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay, seeing none. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Also seeing none. Okay, seeing none on either side, Ms. Stiles, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Yes, I'd like to move for approval, please.
Okay, is there a second? Properly moved, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no? Or abstaining? Okay, this has passed, and that concludes our public hearing. Next, we will move into our consolidated consent agenda. All resolutions and second and third reading ordinances on this agenda are included on the consent agenda if recommended for approval unanimously by all the committees to which the item was referred. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. The item number, along with the resolution and ordinance number of the items on the consent agenda, will be read by me, and members of the council may remove any item from the consent agenda by request before the consent agenda vote is taken. Okay. So we will begin now with the items proposed for consent. First is agenda item 29, resolution 2024-776. Next is agenda item 31, resolution 2024-808. Agenda item 32, resolution 2024-809. Agenda item 33, Resolution 2024-810. Agenda item 34, Resolution 2024-811. Agenda item 35, Resolution 2024-812. Agenda item 36, Resolution 2024-813. Agenda item 37, Resolution 2024-814. Agenda item 38, Resolution 2024-815. Agenda item 39, Resolution 2024-816. Agenda item 40, Resolution 2024-817. Agenda item 42, Resolution 2024-819. Agenda item 43, Resolution 2024-820. Agenda item 44, Resolution 2024-821. Agenda item 45, Resolution 2024-822. Agenda item 46, Resolution 2024-823. Agenda item 47, Resolution 2024-824. Agenda item 48, Resolution 2024-825. Agenda item 49, Resolution 2024-826. Agenda item 50, Resolution 2024-827. Agenda item 51, Resolution 2024-828. Agenda item 52, Resolution 2024-829. Agenda item 53, Resolution 2024-830. Agenda item 55, Resolution 2024-832. Agenda item 57, Resolution 2024-834. Agenda item 58, Resolution 2024-835. Agenda item 59, Resolution 2024-836. Agenda item 60, Resolution 2024-837. Agenda item 61, Resolution 2024-838. Agenda item 62, Resolution 2024-839. Agenda item 63, Resolution 2024-840. Agenda item 64, Resolution 2024-841. Agenda item 65, Resolution 2024-842. Agenda item 66, Resolution 2024-843. Agenda item 67, Resolution 2024-844. Agenda item 68, Resolution 2024-845. Agenda item 69, Resolution 2024-846. Agenda item 70, Resolution 2024-847. Agenda item 71, Resolution 2024-848. Agenda item 72, Resolution 2024-849. Agenda item 73, Resolution 2024-850. Agenda item 74, Resolution 2024-851. Agenda item 75, Resolution 2024-852. Agenda item 76, Resolution 2024-853. 853. Agenda item 77, resolution 2024-854. Agenda item 78, resolution 2024-855. Agenda item 79, resolution 2024-856. Agenda item 80, resolution 2024-857. Agenda item 81, resolution 2024-858. Agenda item 82, resolution 2024-859. Agenda item 83, resolution 2024-860. And agenda item 84, resolution 2024-861. Okay, now we're going to move on to bills on second reading proposed for the consent agenda. Okay, first among those is agenda item 118, ordinance BL 2024-582. Agenda item 119, ordinance BL 2024-583. Agenda item 120, ordinance BL 2024-584. Agenda item 121, ordinance BL 2024-585. Agenda item 122, ordinance BL 2024-586. Agenda item 123, ordinance BL 2024-587. Agenda item 124, ordinance BL 2024-588. Agenda item 125, ordinance BL 2024-589. Agenda item 126, ordinance BL 2024-590. Agenda item 127, ordinance BL 2024-591. Agenda item 128, ordinance BL 2024-592. That concludes the second reading items proposed for the consent agenda. And so now we move into the third reading items proposed for the consent agenda. First among those, agenda item 129, ordinance BL 2024-478. Agenda item 130, ordinance BL 2024-552. Agenda item 131, ordinance BL 2024-554. Agenda item 132, ordinance BL 2024-555. Agenda item 133, ordinance BL 2024-556. Agenda item 134, ordinance BL 2024-557. Agenda item 135, ordinance BL 2024-558. And lastly, agenda item 136, ordinance BL 2024-581. Okay. So that concludes the reading of all the items proposed for consent, resolutions, second reading and third reading items. Do any items need to be removed from the consent agenda? If so, members, do you have a point of order? Okay. Please join the queue to request your items to be removed from the consent agenda. Okay. Mr. Coupin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Please remove item 81, RS 2024-858.
Okay. Mr. Coopin has requested the removal of agenda item 81, resolution 2024-858. Is that correct, Mr. Coopin? Okay. All right. Let me mark it in here. Okay. Next, Ms. Porterfield, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to pull item number 83, RS 2024-860.
Okay. Ms. Porterfield has requested, and we will remove agenda item 83, RS 2024-860. Okay. Ms. Lee, you're recognized.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. I'm sorry, I always do that.
That's okay.
Vice Mayor, I would like to have 77 removed. That's 854.
Okay. Councilwoman Lee has requested the removal of agenda item 77, RS 2024-854 has been removed from the consent agenda. Okay. All right. Seeing no one else seeking to remove items from the consent agenda, we will now move into our committee reports for our consent agenda items. Okay. Budget and Finance Chair Porterfield, for your report, please, of items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered the following items: RS 2024-776, 808, 810 through 813, 815 through 817, 819 through 821. All of those passed 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2024-822 passed 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The remainder of the items, RS 2024-823 through 830, 832, 834 through 838, 845 through 847, all passed 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. And then Ms. Porterfield, I think as well, you have 3 ordinances proposed for consent.
BL 2024-584, 585, and 586, all passed 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you much. All right. Next, Ms. Gadd for the reports of Arts, Parks, and Libraries Committee.
Yes, the following, so the resolution RS 2024-826 passed 6 in favor, 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2024-827 passed 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2024-828 passed 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2024-829 passed 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And our I'll wait for the bills. Or
Nope, you go
those?
ahead now.
Okay.
Every item that's proposed on consent. Go ahead.
Okay.
586.
Wonderful, thank you. BL 2024-586 passed 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, Next, for the report of government operations and regulations, Chair Hill, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We heard items 43, RS 2024-820. We voted to approve, 7 in favor, 0 against. And then item 119, a bill 2024-583, approve, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 non-voting.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, next is the report of the Planning and Zoning Committee. Chair Gamble, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning considered consent items, resolutions, RS 2024-813, 814, 815, 816, 817, 819, 836, 837, 839, 840, 841, 842, 843, 844, 848, 849, 850, 851, 852, 853. Recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Bills on second reading consent include Bill 2024-588, 589, 590, 591, 592. Recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Ms. Gamble, did you have a report on 585?
Yes, and that was taken off consent.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. I thought Councilmember Cooper
what-
took that off consent, but if not,
Yeah.
I do have a report, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Righty. Next, then, is the report of the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee. Chair Prep T, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. The committee considered RS 2024-809, 855, 856, 857, 859, 861, and 861, and voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And let's see, did you speak to ordinance 582 on second reading? I apologize, you may have said
Oh,
that.
yes, 582 on second reading is 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you. Okay, now for the report of the Public Health and Safety Committee. Chair Evans, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Health and Safety heard RS 2024-776, 824, 825. And those were all on consent at 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2024-830 and 832 were both 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Last but never least, for the report of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Chair Parker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Transportation and Infrastructure considered resolutions RS 2024-835 through 844, as well as 846 through 853. The recommended approval of all of those items, 10 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. For bills on second reading, we considered BL 2024-587 through 592. Also recommended approval of all of those items, 10 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. And with all committee reports being in, I will move the consolidated consent agenda.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and properly seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion on the consolidated consent agenda? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting, no or abstaining? Okay, the consolidated consent agenda, all items on consent have passed. Okay. So now we will go back to resolutions that were removed from consent. Or we're not on consent to start with. Okay, the first is agenda item 30, resolution 2024-791, sponsors Porterfield and Evans. This is a resolution accepting a grant from the Nashville Police plus Public Safety Alliance to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to purchase the Zen City Blockwise platform to measure resident safety perceptions and trust in law enforcement through ongoing surveys to guide public safety strategies. Ms. Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Okay. Chair Evans for Public Health and Safety, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Health and Safety recommended approval, 6 in favor, 3 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. I apologize. How many against, ma'am? 3?
3.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's back to you, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for a 1 meeting deferral.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. We are on discussion. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We had a robust conversation about this particular software. The MNPD wants to use the software for to get surveys, to use it to do surveys, to get community feedback. There were several concerns from members of the Public Health and Safety Committee about some of the additional features that the software allows. So we had a conversation about a 1 meeting deferral. I did speak with MNPD to ensure that they were not in opposition to a 1 meeting deferral, to give more time to determine if there are other, to determine if there's other software that can do the portion that they want to do, which is the survey, without doing the other portions that there were concerns about. So there were concerns about the software reading like internal emails of the police department, hub requests, as well as using AI for other digital surveillance. So they are going to look and see. They've not made any commitment to, I want to be really clear on that, they've not made a commitment that they're going to find another software, but they are willing to do the work to see if there is another software that could do what it is that they're wanting to do, and they're going to come back to us with that. So with that, I would ask that my colleagues support a 1 meeting deferral.
Okay. So we are on discussion now for the 1 meeting deferral motion, properly seconded. Mr. Nash, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I would like to say that there was some discussion about whether the police department was really going to be in agreement to the 1 meeting deferral. And there was some question about whether I would believe Councilmember Porterfield. Well, I think Councilmember Porterfield is a Girl Scout. And if she says she talked to Chief Gilder, I believe her. I support the deferral.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. Mr. Huffman, you're recognized on the deferral motion, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I rise in support of the 1 meeting deferral, so would ask my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Parker, do you seek to be recognized on the deferral? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I also rise in support of the deferral, and I rise to do so to bring up a point that I was not able to make any of the committee meetings on this legislation, but we as council members, we have a lot of conversations with constituents at community meetings about public safety. A lot of us are engaged with our precinct folks. And I was able to listen to the budget meeting today, and it was said that these surveys would be solicited by like social media advertisements, the way that a lot of political surveys and whatnot are submitted today. And I would ask the department to give us a little bit more information about how we're soliciting responses to this, regardless of what platform is used, because I would say that sometimes we talk with folks about public safety who are victims of crime. They've been recently traumatized or victimized, and sometimes it's a broader community conversation. And sometimes we have interactions on social media, and I would say that the social media interactions about public safety are not necessarily always of the most informed and high quality interactions that we have. So maybe finding ways to reach Nashvillians outside of the social media sphere would be important to getting good data from this. So the reason I rise in support of the deferral is to ask that the department, if they're listening, please take that into consideration and get us a little more info about how we're reaching people with this surveying, whatever platform it ends up on. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else seeking to be recognized in the 1 meeting, regarding the 1 meeting deferral? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of 1 meeting deferral, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this matter is, or bill, rather, resolution is deferred one meeting. Okay, next is agenda item 41, Resolution 2024-818, sponsors Porterfield, Gamble, Welsh, and Allen. This is a resolution approving amendments to 6 grant contracts for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2022-1857 between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and certain nonprofit organizations. Ms. Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports. Budget and Finance considered RS 2024-818 and voted 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting for the amendment, and 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the legislation as amended.
Okay. Chair Gamble for Planning and Zoning, you are recognized on Resolution 818.
818, Planning and Zoning recommended approval of the amendment, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and then approval of the bill as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you. Turn the page here and see if there's another committee. No, there is not. Okay, it's back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for a motion to get the resolution before us.
Move for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, back to you.
Move the amendment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Do you want to give a brief explanation of the amendment?
I will kick that over to Director Darby if you can give a brief explanation.
Ms. Darby, you are recognized.
The amendment is essentially a housekeeping amendment. The contracts that were filed with the legislation had an error in the term. That's been corrected with the updated contracts, and a budget document was added to one of the contracts as well. Thanks.
Okay. You've heard an explanation of the amendment that has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay. All in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Any voting no or abstaining? Nope. Okay. It's back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for a motion on your resolution as amended.
Move for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Properly moved and seconded as amended. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. This resolution has passed as amended. Okay, agenda item 54, resolution 2024-831 is a resolution accepting a DNA capacity enhancement for backlog reduction CEBR program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to outsource sexual assault kits to private vendors for forensic case sample analysis to reduce the backlog associated with DNA analysis. Ms. Porterfield, you are recognized.
Committee reports. Budget and Finance voted 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, and for the report of the Public Health and Safety Committee, Chair Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you. We recommended approval, 7 in favor, 1 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right, it's back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for a motion on the resolution.
Move for approval.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded, and we're on to discussion. Ms. Welsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I actually would like to move for a 2-meeting deferral. We heard earlier today from Jill Fitchert from the COB about questions that she has about this legislation, this resolution.
Ms. Welsh, just to be clear, so do you want to make the motion to defer 2 meetings?
Yes.
Okay, I need a second for that motion. Okay, now you can proceed with discussing your reasoning on it.
Okay, I'm just going to rerun what I said. Okay, we heard earlier from Jill Fitchert from the COB about several questions that they have that I feel are very important to be answered before we approve this. I don't know that the answers to those questions will keep this from actually passing, but I think it's very, very important that we get those questions answered before we move ahead with this. So I do want to move for a 2-meeting deferral, and I ask my colleagues to support that. Thank you.
Okay, it has previously been moved and properly seconded, and so we are on discussion of the 2-meeting deferral. Chair Evans, do you seek to be recognized on the deferral? Okay, go ahead. I know you're already in the queue for the approval motions. That's why I'm double checking.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little on the fence about a deferral. I think that Director Fitcher brought up some really good questions. And I did text Deputy Chief Gilder, who said that the challenge is going to be it's going to delay their processing. But I also wanted to see if it's not really on the deferral, but if the administration can provide their comments that may answer some of the questions, and I can come back, we can
Yeah, well, I
strike
mean,
that.
I
I don't.
think we can have a question be on the deferral because it seemed to be you were elevating a concern that in deferring, there could be something problematic and you would like a response to
Yeah,
that.
it's not
Is that-
necessarily problematic as much as it is, or does the information exist and it just did not come out in committee, if that makes sense?
Okay, would you like to address that to the administration? Okay.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Mr. Rosenberg, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Excuse me, Dave Rosenberg with the Mayor's Office. Thank you. Yes, we do have the answers. Director Fitcher brought up a number of questions during public comment tonight. So there was a period of time where MNPD, which opened the first local crime lab in the country back in 2015, were not able to fill a key position to conduct DNA analysis, which meant they had to stop in-house analysis of these kits for some time. The forensic biology unit is fully staffed now, so they're at a place where they're keeping up with incoming cases. So the backlog is not growing, but there's right now a backlog of 725 cases. So this is an award from the Department of Justice under this year's Capacity Enhancement for Backlog Reduction Program that totals $243,000. It's part of a nationwide programming. Estimates of what the backlog is nationally start somewhere around 100,000. So it's a national issue, but there are 725 cases here in Davidson County. The vendor is required to meet the same accreditation standards as our lab is. And the vendor in this case was approved by council in a unanimous vote in May. That is Bode Cellmark Forensics. So this is an opportunity to get these kits tested more expediently, responsibly. It's an issue of public safety, especially to survivors who would like to have their attackers held accountable. That's why organizations like Tennessee Voices for Victims support this approach here and statewide, and would certainly ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. Ms. Evans, you still do have a little bit of time if there's anything you want to say at this juncture. Okay. Mr. Huffman, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I rise in opposition to the deferral. Over 700 cases. 700 cases. Families that are looking for closure. Offenders that could be sexually assaulting other people out there. And we're looking to defer it? Come on, y'all. Come on.
Okay. Mr. Nash, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. If Director Fitzer had been kind enough to come to the committee meeting, she would have got a lot of those questions answered, because a lot of those questions were asked and answered there about chain of custody being taken care of, again, having a loss of a department member for a while that did these tests. Ms. Fitzer has every right to call up Chief Drake and ask any question prior to coming to the meeting and kind of throwing a bomb out.
Ms. Ellis, you need to rise for a point of order.
Sorry.
What is
Why is it that he is referring to someone that is not a council member on any of the committee, the subject of what they're saying?
Well, there's nothing in our rules that indicate that he cannot do that. Ms. Welsh asserted that she was moving for the two-meeting deferral based on the remarks of Ms. Fitchard, Director Fitchard, in the public hearing. And so I think Mr. Nash is being responsive to her argument as it relates to the deferral. I see. I just feel it inappropriate for him to be commenting on someone that's a Metro. That's noted, but that's not really a point of order. Okay. Okay. Just be careful. Okay. to whom are you, you're just, let's not address our colleagues, okay? Let's move on. Okay. Mr. Nash, please continue.
And my
We can
understanding is the
reclaim the time there.
Citizen Review Committee is here to check on complaints about police officers and how those complaints are handled. They must not have enough to do, because this is not the first time that Ms. Fitchard has come up here at kind of a last minute and dropped a bomb about management decisions and process decisions made by Chief Drake. So I would ask that we not defer this. It is important that we get these kits tested and protect people here in Nashville.
Okay, Ms. Johnston, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'm going to speak against the deferral. I couldn't say it any better than Mr. Rosenberg did and a couple of other colleagues. You know, we've got victims out there, again, that are looking for some closure. And we just had, about a month or two ago, a long discussion about sexual assault and how important it is to handle those things in a very expeditious way and take it very seriously. And so this backlog is something that I know that we have been talking about for a couple of years now, I believe. And so if this is an opportunity with an approved lab that is already a vendor, I think is what we said, with Metro Nashville, there's no reason to defer this. We need to get through this backlog and give these women or men the closure that they need.
Okay, Mr. Rutherford, you're recognized on the deferral.
Previous question.
Okay. Mr. Rutherford has called the previous question. Is there a second? Okay. This is a non-debatable motion that requires 2/3 of those voting. That would mean we would move straight to the vote on the 2-meeting deferral motion. I can try it by voice to start, and then if I can't determine if it's 2/3, we'll move it to the machine. All in favor of the motion for the previous question, please say aye. All opposed to the motion for the previous question? Okay, I think the motion to call the previous question prevails. It's not about volume, it's about number. And so, so we will move straight to the vote then on the 2-meeting deferral motion. And let's see. I think let's go ahead and put that on the machine, Mr. Clerk. This is a motion to defer 2 meetings, Ms. Webb. Ms. Gamble, are you seeking to vote? Ms. Gamble? Chair Gamble, are you seeking to vote? This is on the 2-meeting deferral motion. Mr. Prepty, have you voted, sir? Okay. All right, all votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the 2-meeting deferral motion fails. And so now we are back on the motion to approve. Okay, is anyone in the queue seeking to be recognized on the motion to approve? See people kind of shifting around. I'm going to wait a minute or two. Okay, Ms. Weiner, are you seeking to be recognized on the motion to approve? No, ma'am. Okay. Ms. Evans, Chair Evans, are you seeking to be recognized? Go ahead, Chair.
Last person standing. So I definitely am in support of this particular resolution. I think that one of the things that we need to be considerate of is that when departments, directors come and speak about concerns, that we need to be respectful and listen to those concerns. And I think it's our responsibility to also think through how some of those concerns kind of play into other aspects of Metro government. So like in this particular case related to the kits, I think the idea of coming forward, having more information that can be shared from a landscape perspective to the council, I think is a really good idea. That should go down a different path since we're not going to be doing the deferral. But there's connectivity between this issue, all our hospitals in the area that process these kits, obviously police, and also some of the nonprofits that we support like Sexual Assault Center. So just putting that out into perspective, that's something that I feel very strongly about, is that those department heads, when they're coming through, they're not coming through to drop a bomb on anything. They're coming through to bring forward valid concerns. Regardless, I am in support of this particular resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Evans. Ms. Porterfield, Budget and Finance Chair Porterfield, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Evans said what I was going to say, but she said it a lot more kindly and a lot more eloquently. So I just second everything that Council Lady Evans just said.
All right. Okay. Well done there. All right. Mr. Cap, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I want to associate myself with what's been said about the importance of these kits to the victims of crimes, but something that, and those are very important and independent reason to pass this tonight. But I do think there's something that hasn't come up in the conversation tonight, which is that this is often important to those accused of crimes who have to wait a very, very long time to get critical evidence in their cases analyzed and turned over to them. And so there have been cases, numerous cases of folks being exonerated of their accusations by this kind of testing. And so that backlog affects the whole functioning of the system and the slowness of it. And the backlog is very significant, and clearing up that backlog is important across the board.
Thank you, Mr. Cap. I appreciate that. Okay. Seeing no one else seeking to be recognized, there is a motion to approve, properly seconded, and we will move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no? Any abstaining? Okay. This resolution has passed. Next is Agenda Item 56, Resolution 2024-833, sponsor Porterfield and Evans. This is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to a Hotspot Violent Crime Intervention Fund, VCIF, Targeted Community Crime Reduction Project, TCCRP grant, from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide support to local law enforcement in developing and implementing evidence-based strategies to combat violent crime. Chair Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports. Budget and Finance passed RS 2024-833, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Public Health and Safety Chair Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We recommended approval, 7 in favor, 1 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right. It's back to you, Sponsor Porterfield. Go ahead.
Move for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no? Okay. Okay. All right. Per rule, as a resolution with more than with a no vote, we've got to go on the boards. So colleagues, if you'll focus on your screen there and get your vote in. Mr. Clerk, how are we looking? Ms. Ellis and Ms. Sepulveda, are you seeking to vote on this matter? That's okay. Okay, all votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, this motion passes. With 33 in favor, 3 against, and no abstentions. Okay. Next is agenda item 77, Resolution 2024-854, a resolution honoring the life of Alyssa Locketts. Sponsors Lee, Rutherford, Benton, and Ellis. Ms. Lee, you are recognized, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. I move to defer this until the first meeting in December, which I believe is December the 3rd.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to defer to the first meeting of December? Did you want to provide a brief explanation, Ms. Lee?
I could,
You
that's
don't,
fine.
You don't need to.
I
but-
just want to make sure that the people on the board with her in Mary Parish and other folks who may want to support her have the opportunity to come to the meeting. So that's why I'm deferring it.
Okie dokes. Okay. There's a motion to defer to the first meeting in December, properly seconded. You heard the explanation of Ms. Lee. All in favor, please say aye. Okay. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. This is deferred to the first meeting of December. Okay. Agenda item 81, Resolution 2024-858, sponsor Coupon. This is a resolution recognizing the Downtown Presbyterian Church's 100th Waffle Shop event. Mr. Coupon, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Committee reports, please.
Okay. Mr. Prep T, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Rules Confirmation Public Elections consider this and voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. And Mr. Prep T, could you provide also the report for 854? That was the resolution of Ms. Lee. I did not request the committee report at that time.
Yes, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, it's back to you, Mr. Coupon, on agenda item 81. Go
Move
ahead, sir.
approval with a brief comment, please.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. We're celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the Waffle Shop event at Nashville Downtown Presbyterian. It's supported by dedicated volunteers, local businesses, and more to raise funds for those in need. It's a really phenomenal event. We encourage everybody to come join on December the 5th, Thursday, December 5th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. to celebrate this 100 year, and we wanted to recognize them with a resolution that we will be presenting to them at the event, and you get waffles and Hattie B's chicken and all sorts of other really great things. And so with that, I'd like to amend my motion to include Rule 12.3 to have everyone voting in the affirmative included on the resolution so we can present a show of solidarity for this great event.
Okay, I heard a second for that motion, so there is a amended motion to approve with Rule 12.3 applied, such that everybody signing on will be listed as a co-sponsor. Ms. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. And I stand in support of this, and I'm a big fan of the Waffle Shop, and I would like to invite people to join me and Councilmember Coupon down there. I'm going to have a bus ride 101.
That's what I was going to ask.
On the number 7 bus.
To the waffle?
So if anybody wants to ride the bus down there and then you don't have to worry about parking, then I will send out details about that in my newsletter and social media if I can pull that off. So look for information on that.
Awesome opportunity to try transit and go eat some yummy waffles. Okay. All right. Anyone else seeking to be recognized? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this resolution has passed. Let's see. Next is Agenda item 83, Resolution 2024-860, sponsor Porterfield. This is a resolution recognizing the 10th anniversary of the Metropolitan Office of Conservatorship Management and the office's work to support those under conservatorship or guardianship in Davidson County. Ms. Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Chair Prep T for Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We consider this and voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Back to you, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move for approval with a brief explanation.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to take a moment to highlight the work of the Office of Conservatorship Management and to congratulate them on their 10-year anniversary. This office was established as a volunteer task force to review the process for guardianships and conservatorships in Davidson County, but ultimately a separate office was established, and our conservators are meant to protect our most vulnerable Nashville and Davidson County residents. And OCM has done a great job working to make sure that those residents are receiving proper personal care as well as management of their resources, and encouraging individuals to be responsible, ethical, and appropriate with the financial management and the physical treatment under individuals that are under guardianship or conservatorship. And I also just wanted to highlight the work of their director, Amy Willoughby Bryant, who has become a resource across the state of Tennessee. The state does not have an Office of Conservatorship, so Davidson County is the only entity that is doing this work. So across our state, we are having individuals like reaching out to this office, asking for advice, looking for resources. And under Director Bryant's leadership, she's created more training, more oversight, and more advocacy for some of our most vulnerable individuals. So I just wanted to make sure that when we talk about caring for our elderly constituents and individuals with disabilities, we really just want to make sure that we're highlighting the good work that's happening. And again, this is the first and only statewide online training here in Tennessee that Director Bryant has established. So I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. And I would also like to evoke Rule 12.3 so that everyone voting in the affirmative is listed as a sponsor of the resolution.
Okay, there is a motion to approve with Rule 12.3 applied, properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Sure, go ahead, Ms. Kimbrough.
Amy does do an excellent job, I agree. But I can't, I'm going to abstain.
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right.
Okay. All right, so we'll move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no? Anyone else other than Councilmember Kimbrough abstaining? Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you would please just record that one abstention. The resolution has passed. Okay, now we are moving into bills on introduction and first reading. While all items on first reading may be voted on at the same time without objection, I am aware of at least 7 items on first. That no worries, that do need to be removed from first reading. And so, Mr. Coupin, I think you are, Mr. Huffman, you got in the queue first there, sir. But Mr. Coupin had sort of, let's go with that kind of in bill order roughly, and then I'll come to you. Go ahead, Mr. Coupin.
I've made it this far without pulling something off first, so here we go. Madam President, I would like to pull item 89.
Okay.
And then 104, 105, and 106.
Okay.
And I think that is all.
Yep, those will be pulled from first reading. Well, basically, they're going to be pulled from the consolidated motion of all the other first reading bills, okay, to clarify. Okay, Mr. Huffman, you are recognized, sir. Hang on, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I need to pull item 115. That's 2024-624.
Okay. Do you need to pull 116 as well, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, because they are companions to each other. Okay, so 115 and 116 have been pulled from first reading consolidated consideration. Okay, and next, Ms. Toombs, do you have a bill that you need to pull off of first? Perhaps agenda item 110, as I had understood. I think it's just a question. I don't think you necessarily have to. Mr. Wilkinson, could you assist Ms. Toombs? Okay. Okay, at this juncture, you can just convey to me that you want to take it off consolidated consideration. Ms. Toombs, you don't have to make a motion. We'll come back to it in order. So you don't have to make a motion about when you want it deferred to yet. It's just that you would like it removed from consolidated consideration on first. Can you just confirm that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so agenda item 110, BL 2024-619 will also be removed from a consolidated motion and vote. Okay, so anybody else seeking to take an item off of first reading consolidated consideration? Okay. Seeing none. Okay. So is there a motion for approval of all the items remaining on first consideration, excluding 89, 104, 105, 106, 110, 115, and 116? So those are excluded. Is there a motion? Okay, properly seconded. And so without objection on first reading, we can approve all those other items. So now we will go back through the items that were pulled in agenda order to take those up. Okay, first was agenda item 89, ordinance BL 2024. So all other items have passed first consideration, and now we'll go back in order. Agenda item 89, 598, sponsor Coupon. This is an ordinance approving amendment number 7 to the Phillips-Jackson Street redevelopment plan pertaining to certain general business land uses. Mr. Coupon, you are recognized to get the bill before us.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to, I believe, move approval first.
Yep. Is there a second? Okay, so we've got the bill before us, and now it's back to you. I understand you have a late amendment, so you're going to need to move to suspend the rules.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules, please.
Okay, Chair Prep T, do you have a report on the nature of this emergency? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We considered the suspension of the rules and voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to suspend the rules, and then 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting on the late filed amendment.
Okay. Having heard the report of Chair Prep T, are there any objections to the suspension of the rules? Okay, seeing none, the rules are suspended. And so it is back to you, Mr. Coupon, and you can now make a motion on your amendment.
I'd like to move the amendment with a brief comment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. So this is a project that is amending the redevelopment district in a couple of parcels near Jefferson and 3rd so that they can build a hotel project. The neighborhood's very excited about this project. They're very supportive. This should have gone through very easily. We did learn in the last couple of days that there was an additional parcel inadvertently included. The original plan was to pass this today and then amend it in a timely manner for the next meeting. But we did learn that the individual who owns that parcel was very adamant that she did not want to be included in this process at all. And whatever we pass today is going to inform the public notice that goes out. So there'll be mailings that go out with these parcels on it. And she did not want her parcel included in the mailings. So apologies on the late filed nature of this, but it's more of a technical, just kind of housekeeping matter, cleaning that up. So I hope my colleagues will support the amendment.
I appreciate the explanation. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, it's back to you, Mr. Coupon, for a motion on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move approval as amended.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this bill as amended, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this has passed its first reading, Mr. Coupin, as amended. Okay, next. Okay. Special Counsel Darby has advised Mr. Coupin that we can take 104, 105, and 106 together. I still do need to read them into the record. That is Ordinance BL 2024-613, 614, and 615. 613 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, to update urban design standards related to structured parking within the River North Urban Design Overlay. 614 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 to update design standards related to building materials restrictions and requirements within the River North Urban Design Overlay District. And 615 is an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for BL 2024-614, an amendment to the River North Urban Design Overlay, which is 165.21 acres, all sponsored by Mr. Coupin. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Withdraw, please.
Okay. 104, 105, and 106, agenda items 613, 614, and 615 have all been withdrawn. Okay. All right, next is agenda item 110, ordinance BL 2024-619, sponsored Toombs. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by applying a two-story overlay district to various properties located east of Tucker Road and southeast of West Hamilton Avenue. This is 80.06 acres. Ms. Toombs, you are recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval on first.
Okay.
And defer the public hearing to January of 25.
Okay. All right. Is there a second for that motion? Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Passage here on first and deferral of the public hearing, or the second to the first meeting, or rather, to the January public hearing. Let's just say it that way, which will be the first meeting in January, but it's on the third Tuesday. Maybe. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Okay. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. And then lastly, on first, agenda item 115 and 116, ordinance BL 2024-624 and 625, sponsors Gregg and Huffman. These bills are companions to each other. 624 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from R15 to SP zoning for property located at Pennington Bend Road, unnumbered, at the corner of Wooddale Lane and Pennington Bend Road, 13.44 acres, to permit 39 multifamily residential units. And 625 is for the proposed ordinance to require certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Mr. Huffman, you are recognized, sir, for a consolidated motion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move for approval on these two items and with a request to defer to the second reading to January 21st.
Okay. Do we need anything related to a re-referral to the Planning Commission? Okay.
I would also like to re-refer that to planning.
Okay. So the amended motion then is approval on first with deferral of second reading to the meeting of January 21st, and in the meantime, a re-referral to the Planning Commission. I'm looking at the planning table to nod that that is an okay motion. Do I have a second for that motion? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. All righty. Now we're moving on to second reading, items that were not on consent. First among those is agenda item 117, ordinance BL 2024-469, sponsors Prep T, Porterfield, Toombs, Swara, Benedict, Vo, Gad, Welsh, Lee, Bradford, Kimbrough, Sepulveda, and Ellis. This is an ordinance amending chapters 2.44, 2.28, and 2.222 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to criminal participation and related actions of employees of the Metropolitan Government. Sponsor Prep T, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to every individual, both members of this body and within the various Metro departments that have been working on this. We still have so much more work to do, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done thus far, but I'm looking forward to moving this forward, but at this time, I will withdraw.
Okay, the bill is withdrawn. Is that it? Okay. All righty. Everything on third remained on consent. So that does conclude our agenda. And so we will be meeting again on Tuesday, November 19th. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay. We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.